Good evening. I'm called Brian Parfait with the Microsoft DP Intern program, and this is my first lesson in the series of building Windows 8 applications from beginners to professionals. This is the English version, and it's going to take close to 45 to 30 minutes. First lessons, I'm going to be introducing Visual Studio, how to build Windows applications in Visual Studio. I'll move on to introduce Blend, which is another tool for building Windows 8 applications. As you can see from the title, these tutorials and sessions are not for experts or IT professionals. They're for anyone who is interested in building Windows 8 applications. So no matter your background, I think I would make sure it's easy for you to follow suit. This is the first slide. I think we should be going to the second. Okay, the second slide, we're talking about the plan, how we're going to go about the session, and hopefully you would understand exactly the purpose of the training, what is an application, what is Windows 8, what are Windows 8 applications and why we need to develop them, what tools are needed to develop Windows 8 apps. My focus here is looking at especially students and the unemployed, and thinking about how they could benefit from developing Windows 8 apps and working with technology, making it accessible and easy for them to use and to follow suit. So let's move on to slide 3, the purpose of this training. The first question I'm going to answer is why I'm doing this. Secondly, I'm going to answer the question who this is meant for and how you may benefit from most of these trainings. So why I'm doing this? I'm doing this to provide training in application development to those who love to develop software but have no technical background, usually required for courses such as these. The second reason is to direct young people with no jobs or huge capital investments on how they could use technology as a source of income and finally to drive development and growth. The third point is to make IT training readily available to all those who are interested, and most of all, make it simple and fun. Like I said earlier, the session is meant for everyone who is interested, and you could benefit from the slides by going to the following blog, http Developers Hub Cameroon.wordpress.com. So, what's an app? An application is a program or group of programs designed for end users. Application software can be divided into two general classes: system software and application software. System software consists of low-level programs that can interact with the computer at a very basic level, and they include the operating system, compilers, and other utilities. While application softwares include database applications, word processors, for example, and spreadsheets. Other application softwares include the games you usually play on computers and the music applications you use to play music and watch videos. Now, so Windows 8. Before talking about Windows 8, I think it will be good, since I know the audience is not technically inclined, is to talk about Windows in general, and we'll talk about a little bit of history. Windows, most of us are familiar with Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, and today Microsoft has come up with Windows 8. Generally, there's a traditional desktop that all of us know, which has a start button at the left hand bottom side, and you click on it, you have a pop-up with all your menu programs listed. That's the traditional desktop. It looks somehow like this figure on the left. So that's what's common among Windows XP for those of us who have been using Windows XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 7. And that is what I term the traditional desktop. Windows 8, however, comes along with both the traditional desktop and the Metro style desktop or user interface. So those who've used Windows 8 should be familiar or should have met the Metro style desktop interface. Windows 8 is usually termed Windows Reimagined because of the desktop Metro interface, this one, and the traditional desktop environment that it presents. The traditional desktop environment is still there, so you can run all your old programs. You can still go around installing stuff the way you want to install or the way you used to install. However, we will have the new Metro style interface that introduces or brings to us Windows Store applications. Windows Store applications are the applications that run on the Metro style interface. The Metro style interface is the interface that has a couple of squares with programs listed on it, and like I said, it is the new interface represented with on Windows 8. The Metro style interface brings along touch gestures, charms, keyboards. You can do touch gestures on it. You can do it has a charms. The charms, we'll talk about charms later on, but they're found on the right side of the screen, and you can also interact with those with the Metro interface using your keyboards. So we'll meet that later on. This course or session is really talking about how we go about building applications for this interface. So let's move on to slide number 6. So what is Windows Store and what does it have to do with the Metro user interface? Windows Store applications are applications that run in the Metro interface, and like I said, they are touch-first applications. They allow users to be able to use in touch. Microsoft thought about this for a long while, and Windows 8 was meant to be the future operating system after Windows 7. The decision was made after tablets have been coming to the scene. People have been using smartphones. Users have been getting used to touching screens and giving touch commands. Thus, Microsoft thought of an operating system for the next 15 years should be an operating system that will be able to handle touch. So you have here the various touch commands that can be used to interact with the Metro user interface and its applications, or Windows Store's applications as I like to term them. However, if your computer is not having your screen is not touch sensitive, you're not using a tablet, you can still use your mouse to interact with the Windows Metro applications. So characteristics of the Windows or Store application or Metro style applications: it's a new type of application, it has new appearance, it's sold on the Windows Store, and can be executed on multiple devices. So you can execute it on your desktop, on your tablet, and on phones. We have the Windows Store provides a database for all these applications. Immediately you're connected to the internet, you can go to your start menu on your Metro style and you click on Windows Store. Every time the start menu for the Metro style user app presents itself, there's a Windows Store icon. When you click there, you are taken to a screen where you are presented with different apps for purchase, or you can get most of them free of charge. So the Windows Store provides you a database where you can easily access these applications, download them, and use them. So the main reason for the session is to develop Windows apps, like I said on the title. So the quick question that comes: why should we be developing Windows 8 apps or Windows 8 applications or Windows Store applications. From my point of view, self-employment is very important. I'm looking at the fact that most of the young people who leave school are not employed immediately, and Windows Store and Windows 8 apps provide an opportunity for self-employment through building apps on the Windows Store, which has access to over 200 markets worldwide. You can develop them in any language, and they can run on multiple devices. Thus, you have an opportunity where you can submit your apps you've developed on Windows Store that are being sold for you, and you're making money that way without necessarily having a job. And just to stress, there's really no real programming skills or technical expertise really needed to develop Windows apps. You just have to be interested, focused, and I'm very sure you do fine. So, like I said, Windows 8 apps can be developed with different languages. You can develop with JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Those are web languages, C#, XAML, C++, or Visual Basic. Another reason why I'm encouraging development or why it's important to look at the option of developing Windows 8 apps is the opportunity to provide. For example, Microsoft is currently running a Margin Cup, which allows winners to take home a cash prize and also exposes them to experts in software. And for example, I have here a picture. I'm going to enlarge a little bit of Margin Cup winners from Uganda. They call themselves Team Code 8, and they took part in the Margin Cup. Developed Windows app called Matibu that diagnoses malaria without pricking the body. So they won, and as you see, the award was part of the UN Women Award. So developing apps really exposes you, and gives you the opportunities you could have developing Windows 8 apps. Sorry. Let's take back that down. You also have Abiola Olarian, who is a Windows 8 apps developer. He develops phones, phone game for games for Windows 8, and he's a game developer and CEO of Game Console in Nigeria, and is making a lot of money, and his apps have hit 1 million downloads. So those are some encouragements why you should see developing Windows 8 apps as encouraging. Now, talking about Windows 8 apps and developing Windows apps, next question is, so where do I get resources? As you can see, there are a lot of free resources given by Microsoft in helping you in your app development, and you have tutorials. These are the links. You have upgrades and patches. You have links to them. You have lectures and notes links, and you have videos, and many more. You just have to search on the internet. There are a lot more resources available to anyone who's interested in developing Windows 8 apps. Next slide, we're going to talk about the tools that we need to develop Windows 8 apps. For Visual Studio 2012, we're in 2013 right now, and I think Microsoft will come up with Visual Studio 2013. However, I'll be using for this sessions Visual Studio 2012 for development. So Visual Studio, we're going to first look at what is it, how is it different, where can you obtain it, and how much does it cost, what are the prerequisites of using it, licenses, hardware, etc. We're also going to talk about the other tool, how does the interface look like, and also going to talk about the other tool, Blend, which is used for developing Windows 8 apps. What is it, how is it different, where you can obtain it, what are the prerequisites, and all those questions will be handled in this session. So Visual Studio 2012, excuse me, is an integrated development environment from Microsoft, and it is used to develop consoles, graphical user interface applications, along with Windows Forms and other applications. They also do websites, web applications, and all. It's a really rich, very, very rich integrated development environment, and we'll be using it throughout. So, apart from, I'm assuming you haven't used Visual Studio before, so I'm going to specify that there have been other versions of Visual Studio 2011, 2010. However, what is important to take home is Visual Studio comes along with the ability to build Metro-style applications, which is the goal of our session. And that's why we'll be using it. Just to make mention, Visual Studio 2013 would also come with this feature. This makes it different from the other versions 2011 and 2010, which didn't come with this. Now, so where can we obtain a copy? Here's a link of where we can obtain a copy of Visual Studio, in particular the Express edition. You have a Professional edition and the Ultimate edition also. However, since I'm thinking that I'm focused on audience that are mostly beginners, I think we can all start with the Express edition, which is free of charge, and will allow us to do just what we want to do with it. The Professional editions and licenses are also available, and they'll cost a little bit more. They aren't free. So the next thing we want to handle in this slide, what are the prerequisites for using Visual Studio 2012? So first of all, you have supported operating systems. Not all operating systems support Visual Studio 2012. So here we have a list of the operating systems and that support Visual Studio 2012, and what hardware, what processors they should be running on. So Windows 7 Service Pack 1 would support it, Windows 8, Windows Server 2008, the 64-bit version, and Windows Server 2012 64-bit versions will all support and run Visual Studio 2012. The next, we have hardware requirements. You need to have a processor of at least 1.6 gigahertz, at least 1.1 gigabyte of RAM, and at least 5 gigabytes of available hard disk space. You also need to have 5,400 resolutions per minute hard drive, and a computer with DirectX 9 capability video card. If you don't know what these are, then I suggest you download Visual Studio Express Edition 2012 and try running it on your machine. If there are any errors, it's going to indicate, and you have a pop-up indicating if at all your hardware or your operating system doesn't support it. The next slide, we're going to discuss about the installation procedure. After downloading Visual Studio, you run the setup file by double-clicking on it. The file will look like the image on the right, this image. And after installation is completed, make sure you run it for the first time while you're connected to the internet, so you can obtain a developer's license for the software. This is free of charge, and you are not paying anything for it. So after running it for the first time, there are a couple of differences. This is actually the interface of Visual Studio 2012, how it looks like. I think you should be seeing something like this if you did the installation correctly. And as you can see, it's a little bit different from what you had with Visual Studio 2011. There you go, Visual Studio 2011, and this was the interface for Visual Studio 2010. So with all these interfaces, I think you should be able to know if you've got the right version of Visual Studio running. This is the interface we should be looking at right now. Okay, so next, Blend. The next tool we'll be using for developing Windows 8 apps is called Blend. Blend of Visual Studio is a collection of design tools included with the Visual Studio 2012 and 2013. Sorry, I wrote Visual 2012, 13 here, but actually 2012, 2013. Sorry about that. And you can use to visually build Windows Store applications using JavaScript, Visual Basic, C# or C++. Blend is installed when you install Visual Studio, and to open Blend, type Blend in the search box. The search box in Visual Studio is found here. So type Blend in here and press enter, and Blend is going to pop up. Then you click open in Blend and you have Visual Blend running. Another way is you can right click on project in the Solution Explorer and then click open in Blend. We're going to be doing all those in the upcoming sessions. So this is how the Blend interface looks like, and for those of you who have used Photoshop or Dreamweaver or Publisher before, Blend is a design tool and allow you to build your apps and write codes behind the scenes, and it's really easy. You need not know how to type code in any of this language dictated. I think we'll be going through step-by-step instructions on how to build simple applications in Blend. So we're almost done with our first session, introducing the sessions, what we'll be doing, and the tools we'll be using, who might benefit from this. So what next? How to get to me? I'm open for questions, suggestions, and feedback at beimparfait@live.com or v-beimparfait@microsoft.com. My Skype account is beimparfait. My Facebook name Brian Parfait, Twitter at Brian Parfait, and I manage these two blogs. Most of the sessions I'll be doing will be posted on this blog, developershubcameroon.wordpress.com. So for lessons and sessions, you'll always have access to materials, videos that are done by me from this blog. You also have a copy of these slides on the blog. Next, after this is the first lesson, we'll be going to lesson 2.1, which will be dealing with Visual Studio, introducing the Visual Studio interface and writing your Windows 8 application in Visual Studio. Since I'm based in Cameroon, I'll be delivering my sessions and lessons in English and French so as to reach all those in my community. This is the link to the next session that will be dealing with introducing Visual Studio interface and writing your first Windows 8 apps in English, and this is the link for the French version. Last slide. I'm saying okay, bye, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you download the next lessons, which would be introducing Visual Studio interface and writing your first Windows apps. This same lesson 2.2, which will be coming up pretty soon, will also be dealing with introducing this same topic, writing, but not Visual Studio anymore. That will be Blend, introducing Blend and Blend interface and writing your first Windows 8 app in Blend. Thank you.